everything. All right, so let's look. This is lesson 2-3. And our learning goal today is to be able to subtract real numbers you don't have to write each or find each sum or difference. That's fine. But you do want to have your lesson and your learning goal written down. And then if you want to go ahead and jot down 1 through 4 and leave yourself just a little bit of space, we're going to go through and talk about each one of the rules. I realize we did some of this when we played our game in class with the cards, but I still think it would be good for us just to have it in our notes and to review it real quick again. Because today we're going to focus on this skill, and we're going to focus on doing it with fractions and decimals. And then we'll move on to the harder stuff, and this gets harder quick next week. Also notice you guys do have that quiz coming up on Wednesday, so your very first quiz on paper will be next week on Wednesday. Alright, so we kind of talked about this earlier when we were playing the card game. I'm going to show you how I like to do it. If you have another method that works for you, I am completely okay with that. When I have subtraction, I personally change all my subtraction signs to plus a negative, because it helps me from making simple mistakes. And the simple mistakes aren't as big a deal right now, but as soon as we get further with algebra and solving equations, it's huge. Okay? So then once I do that, I look at that as -8 plus -10, which would be -18. Okay? I think we were talking about this the other day. I think it was this class that liked my example of, if you're thinking about a game, this would be like I had -8 points in the game, and then the next roll I lost 10 more points. I've lost a total of 18 points. Okay? All right, number 2. You guys actually are very good at this rule, because you guys like to change this into a ginormous plus sign. So this is the one you guys usually get. And then you add those two together and you get 17. Okay? All right. The next rule, and again, these are all the 7th grade skills. We're just reviewing them real quick. Okay? This one right here, again, would turn into that ginormous plus sign. And now I have -7 plus 9, which is right back to our addition rules. Means we're going to subtract and keep the sign of the 9, and that is 2. Then we're going to work on our fraction skills a little bit. And we have a subtraction. Again, I like to change all subtraction signs to plus a negative. And then I have -7 plus -3, which would be -10 fourths. Fractions always have to be in simplest form, so I'm going to reduce that to -5 halves. You can change that to a mixed number if you want, but it's not necessary. In algebra, we can keep things improper. Unless we're going to graph it, that's about the only time we change it. Okay, good on the simple rules? You guys good on that? Okay. All right, I want to just look at 2 fraction ones, and that's it. And then we're going to spend the rest of the time we have just practicing our skills. All right, so we remember we have to have a common denominator. And then I would change my sign. So I would change that subtraction sign to plus a negative. My common denominator here would be 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 would be 4. 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. Add those two bad boys together. -3 and -4 would give me -7 over 6. And again, leaving it improper is fine. You can change it to -1 and 1/6, but you don't have to. Is this feeling okay, or is this stressing you out? Are we good? Okay, because like I said, there's no way I can get to the harder stuff until we make sure we have this. And I knew being on shortened classes today, I didn't want to rush us through the much, much harder stuff. All right, letter B. So you have subtract a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and change that into that ginormous plus sign you guys like so much. Common denominator here would be 12. So 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. -1 times 4 is -4. Well, you guys are Sneeze are crazies today. Lots of sneezes. Alright, and then they are different signs, so I really need to subtract. So 9 minus 4 is 5 over 12, and I keep the sign of the 9 because it's bigger than the 4. 5/12 is my final answer. Okay, any questions?